Most NHL dreams completely fail, and it's not for the reason you think. So I want to tell you a story about one of my clients that I've worked with over the past year who really had the skill set to be an elite prep school defenseman, and he just wasn't able to figure it out. Like, he was really, really struggling. And so he came to me with this situation where basically, he had the potential, he had the skill set, all the tools were there to be dominant every single game, but he wasn't able to dominate. Like, he just couldn't make plays, he wasn't being consistent, everything wasn't clicking. And it was a really interesting case because I could see, like, based on everything that he had in his tool set, it was right there. I was like, he should have been able to be performing at his best. He should have been able to control most games. And then we got into the details, and basically what he realized and what he explained to me is that, he just had an issue with his mental game. And really what he said to me is that coming into this program and working with Identity Shift, his mental game was his weakness. His mental game was actually holding him back. He struggled to have the confidence, the belief in himself. He struggled to know, okay, what can I do and what can't I do? And he had a very limited view and perspective on who he was as a player, and this was holding him back. And I see so many players go through the same thing. They basically are just like spinning their wheels. They're constantly excited, they train hard, they work hard, but then they get into the game situations and then they're not even close to as good as they really should be. They're not performing anywhere in the range of like what their capacity is, and they can't figure out what's going on. Well, here's the thing. It's probably something about your mental game, but the difference with the way the mental game works is it's not just simply confidence and self-belief. Now, that's where it starts, but then it's also understanding who you are as a player, how to apply that to your actual game strategy, and how that all connects. So in this video, what I want to talk about is the entire mental approach that I take with all of my clients and with all of my players, and really the approach that is going to get you to the next level. Because most NHL dreams die, most NCAA dreams die, most college pursuits just, players give up. And it's not because they weren't good enough and they couldn't have done it. It's because something about their mental game stops them and holds them back. So let's break this down a little bit more. I want to also explain to you in detail what exactly our player, the guy that we're talking about, we'll call him Mike, what he was dealing with. So fundamentally, what Mike was dealing with was a massive mental block. He didn't believe in himself, and he believed that he wasn't actually as good as he was kind of claiming to be. There was this deeper subconscious belief that everything about his game, it wasn't really ready. It wasn't there. He didn't deserve to perform as well as he, thought consciously he could, and it was getting in the way. And I know it always sounds kind of funny when you explain it that way. Like there's a conscious belief and a subconscious belief. Well, the conscious belief is like, Conor McGregor when he used to be up on stage, just, yelling at everybody and trying to hype himself up. That was a way of kind of hyping himself up and getting in other people's head and hyping himself up in other people. But if he wants to build his own hype and believe in himself, there is subconscious beliefs that have to exist. Now, this comes from obviously training and preparing, but this also comes from understanding what beliefs don't work, what false beliefs you have about yourself and the world that are limiting you. And the thing for Mike was that he had to actually admit to himself that, first of all, he wasn't actually as good and wasn't sure what to do. He wasn't as good as he thought that, consciously he was. And this was, this is the belief. He had to admit that belief existed. And then he had to admit, hey, I need help. I don't know what to do. And most players don't admit. They're not willing to actually admit to themselves. They're not willing to be honest to themselves. But if you can be, this is where the truth comes. This is where change comes. This is where you can actually transform, is when you're honest with yourself, when you're clear with yourself, what it is you're actually good at, what you're not, what you're struggling with, what you aren't struggling with. Because once you're real, then you can actually attack the real issues and the real limiters. But when you're constantly living in the clouds and living on false beliefs and living on beliefs that are holding you back, but just assuming that that's the way the world is, then you're never going to be able to break through. And that was the case for Mike. He was constantly in this place of putting himself in a position of, I'm going to overthink everything. I need to be a thinking player. I need to always be consciously processing the game when I play. And what we did is I helped him understand that once you break through that conscious thinking in a game and get into your flow state, get into that automatic instinctual play, you unlock this superstar self. You unlock that best version of you. And now you may not necessarily have the skill, you listening, to unlock like the best player on the ice ability, but you may have way, way more skill than you're willing to admit. Or maybe you do have the potential to be an elite, high-skilled player on the ice. And again, your beliefs and your mind are holding you back, right? This is fundamentally where confidence starts, is just false beliefs. So a lot of times what we do with our clients is just break down those beliefs. We figure out, okay, what is this player dealing with? What are they actually getting stuck with? And for Mike, that's what it was. He wasn't admitting to himself, honestly, what those false beliefs were. And once he did, there was a huge transformation that happened. So Mike's transformation is one that I wish I had went through when I was younger. Because for me, I did not want to admit that I couldn't figure it out on my own. In my mind, I thought if I read enough sports psychology books, if I read enough sport performance books, if I just dug into the YouTube videos and the blogs, eventually I would figure it out. And that's my thought. I thought, well, I can do it for free. I don't need to pay someone. Why would I work with an expert? But in reality, I was already working with experts because I was doing the research, right? I was going out and finding all these tools and these concepts and these things. I was doing it. I was finding them. And yet I wouldn't admit to myself, honestly, that I needed to invest in working with somebody who could help me. Like, that was real. That was something I actually refused to do. And if you are refusing to do it right now, then you are holding yourself back from a transformation like what Mike went through. And that's what I did. And it was really, really dumb. And I wish I had have understood how stupid it was at the time, because it crushed me, because it left me in a place where I could have learned, I could have been more open, but I kept saying, I can figure this out. I can do it on my own. I don't need anyone. But it's okay. You don't have to know everything, and you don't. That's just fundamentally the case for all of us in all areas of life. We don't know everything, and no one else knows everything. But there are people who know more than you about a certain subject, and that's what players that come to me and admit this to themselves, that's why I'm able to help them. Because when I work with them, we're able to figure out and actually break down and get into the details of what beliefs are stopping you, right? And if you can get to the beliefs that are stopping you, that's what's real. And the crazy thing is that we fundamentally believe in certain things, and we don't even think to question them. We don't even consider that certain things could be wrong. And those are the things that you actually have to look at. You have to look at the stuff that you would never question. You have to question things that you've never questioned before about yourself and your world and your reality. Some of the things that helped Mike were looking in detail at what are the plays that I can make that I'm not making. What are the things that I can do on the ice that I actually have the capacity to do? What are the things I'm afraid to do? What are the consequences of making mistakes that I'm so afraid of? Are they really that bad? Right? And then when you get into that and you start to realize it's not that big of a deal, suddenly you can try things. You can start to build and progressively add confidence to your game because you realize, hey, I can do this. I got this. I have the ability to handle these plays. I've just been holding myself back because I'm afraid. Right? And so if you're in the car right now listening to this podcast or wherever you are right now, this is something I'd like you to pause on. If you're a parent listening to this with your son or daughter, like pause on this and think about this and actually have this conversation. Like, what are some of the beliefs you have around what you can and can't do? What are the mistakes you're afraid to make? What are the consequences you're afraid to have happen? Where is that fear? And how is that belief you have creating that fear? And then how is that fear stopping you from making the plays you want to make and being the player you want to be? So go ahead and pause it if you want. Now with Mike's transformation. So Mike's transformation was pretty crazy, and I'm going to read the main thing that he said to me, and then I'll explain to you like the outcomes he got. But really what he said is that my mental game went from being one of my greatest weaknesses to my greatest strength after working with Identity Shift Hockey for the past 6 months. That's crazy to me. Like, that's the work that I do. That's the work that I want to continue to do. That is what this is about, is having you go from somebody who you have a weakness to turning it into a strength. And this is something that the program like ATG, Athletic Truth Group, and Knees Over Toes guy, this is what they focus on with their physical training stuff. They're trying to take your physical body and help turn it into a strength. So that's somebody I study a lot for helping program a lot of our physical training stuff in the Next Level Academy and with my one-on-one guys. Because as you'll learn, this stuff is much more than just mental. All the programs are about giving you actually the full tools of mind, body, skill so that you can perform and get to the next level. That's why they're about the Next Level Academy, the Next Level Blueprint, or whatever the other programs are that I might have by the time you listen to this. The point of these programs is to get you to the next level. And getting to the next level requires the mind, the body, and the skill. But I start with the mind because so many players have the skill and the body to do it already, but their mind's holding them back. But then once your mind becomes a strength, then your skill and then your body become the next bottleneck, the next thing holding you back, right? And constantly you want to live in a world where those three things are constantly like becoming strengths, and then, you know, one moves ahead, right? Like those funny little races you see where like one thing will follow the next, right? Like at like hockey games when you'll see the tracking and you see the one will go ahead. And obviously everything's moving forward and progressing and getting better, but certain things will just become a pillar or will be the strongest of the three. And you're constantly like putting more attention into whichever one is weaker at the time so that you can continue to push your average up in terms of ability. So it's a bit more complex philosophy, but that's massive. And it's so important to be able to do that stuff. So now the thing with Mike is that he is now in a place where he's playing U18 AAA, and he like made a jump. He made a step towards playing that league. He's dominating, getting a ton of points. He's really performing and controlling the games. He earned himself an assistant captain role. He just got selected for the NCDC All-Star game, and he's going to have a really good junior career and a really, really good college and professional career if he continues on. And he has that mindset. He has that plan and those goals. So I'm really excited to see where he goes. Obviously, his name's not Mike, but that's the point. Is you'll see the guys that I'm working with right now for the long term. You'll start to see these guys break through, and it's a long-term approach. It's about putting in these details. And the reason I'm sharing this stuff with you is because obviously, to be fully transparent, like I want the players who want to work with me to come join the programs, right? Look at the Next Level Academy, join the Next Level Blueprint if there's any spots or any spots in either of them. Obviously, I want that, but what I want you to see is that this stuff is possible when you start to take this approach. And this is the approach I felt like I was missing, so I'm trying to make this available to you. I'm trying to make this something that you can actually access and use in your career. Because if you're not, it's just going to limit you, and it sucks when you have like the potential, but you don't use it. Okay, so let's get right into it. So the Identity Mastery System is the program that I teach all these players to start. This is the fundamental mental philosophy that we work on. And really, the point of it is that it is a philosophy. It is more than just like a manual or something simple that you just kind of read once and then you're done. It's a way of life and an approach to development that gets you to the next level. So really, it's more than just sets and reps, right? Like you can go and do like a written out workout program, which we have in the programs. But the difference with this is that it's about taking a different approach and mindset to the game, right? It's about having a win-win situation with the way you look at the world. And when you do that, you progress, right? You get better. And it's about helping you understand and discover your ultimate identity, what the player you were meant to be and that you have the potential to be, and creating that vision for yourself and then moving towards that, and not just molding yourself into what other people tell you to be, but what you're actually best suited for so that you can be your best player, right? So this is how it kind of works. Well, first of all, we have the foundations. That's what we teach first, and that's the overall philosophy, because everybody wants to make the NHL. But when you have a plan that actually separates you from other people, that's the difference. Most people have goals, like good players have goals, great players have plans. That will separate you. That will put you ahead of most people, right? And again, like, of course, a plan requires a goal, but most people just stop at the goal. They don't create a detailed plan. So if you want to go and there'll be links to the free training below. So please go check out the free training. There's the first video is called Foundations. It's going to break down everything that you're mentally bumping up against, all the details, so that you can get very clear on what it is you're struggling with, and then explain kind of how the identity shift and the identity mastery system approach actually works and applies to the things you're struggling with, right? So that's the first thing. Then we have the mindset. So really the mindset it's not just positive thinking, affirmations, not just motivational speeches. It's the thing with this is these are kind of like shooting like a Nerf gun at a tank, right? Like they're not going to make that big of a difference. The real thing we're working on is breaking down your fundamental beliefs and what we call mental filters, the filters we look at the world through. And so that is going to be what allows you to be great, is to actually get to the root beliefs and the root of what is stopping you. And so again, there's a training. That's the second video in the free training, is how to actually shift your mindset. So go check that out and dig into that. Then the third one, shifting your identity. So when you understand who you are, everything changes. Because once you understand your position, right, obviously, and you fully research in detail the position you play and the positions you might play, you understand the role you have, right? So for example, you may be a first line two-way center or a pass first, second ranked defenseman, right? Like that's the difference, is you have to understand like what is the position I play and then the actual role and like the archetype I fit, right? Are you a two-way forward? Are you a more shooter forward? Are you a power forward? This is stuff we work on with our players to understand, so that once you understand your current role on your team, you can then understand, okay, so I'm going to be focusing on studying players. Let's say you're a shooter, sniper style player for this team, that's your role. Then research those type of players and then look to see how you can create your own unique identity around this. And what I mean by your own unique identity around this is actually figure out what is that unique like spin on that style. What's the unique product that I can provide that no one else can provide, right? Like you look at two players, David Pastrnak, Nikita Kucherov. They're both shooter sniper style players, but Kucherov has become more of a hybrid where he's almost like a pass first and then shoot second sniper. It's a very unique style, but he shoots and scores a lot, but he also is very dangerous because he's an elite passer, where Pastrnak has become more of like an Ovechkin style where he's really just emphasizes shooting, and then he's very good at like other specific elements of the game. So you can look at players like that and start to understand how to fit that into your game. Again, free training. You can go check out the identity lesson if you want to skip right to that one. You'll get a ton of value out of that one. Then the next one is aligning your training system. So fundamentally what you want to do when you align your training system is realizing you really have like a 12-month plan that you need to lay out that aligns with building your ultimate identity, right? And having step-by-step processes to work on all the key elements you need to add to your game. So that's why with our programs, we actually have like a 12-month ultimate identity builder plan, which is about having an off-season plan, a training camp optimization phase, a mid-season separation phase, so you can keep building throughout the season and make iterations and adjustments. Then we have a playoff push phase where we have a mental, physical, and skill approach we take for that, right? So it's about having a full plan, laying it all out, right? Because great players have plans, good players just have goals, right? And then the next one is build complete confidence. So building complete confidence is actually rewiring the way your brain works. Everything we're doing in this program does build confidence, because fundamentally getting better and breaking through mental blocks is what builds confidence. But we help you to actually figure out how to unlock your superstar confidence. That's that confidence that you just have this aura on the ice that you know who you are, you do your job, and you're the best at it. And so the basics of what we teach are meditation, visualization, mental programming. So you can check out how to actually do those three things below. Super simple, but very, very powerful once you start doing them, right? And then you have shifting your hockey IQ. Now, shifting your hockey IQ, the key with this is realizing that once you've built out the skills, you know who you are, then you can align your hockey IQ with your identity, which is why we call it identity sense, because it's making decisions based on who you are, your position, your role, and your identity sense, right? And so we teach a very unique style of doing this that really allows players to be able to unlock a whole new version of themselves, and it all connects to the full system. So again, check that out. That's in the free training. You can just jump to that if you feel like your hockey IQ is where you want to dig in, but you're going to benefit a lot from watching the videos before this so that you fully understand all the details, right? And we also have like worksheets and everything in there. So that's why I'm selling you on this, is because like the free training is good. It sets you up with everything you need, right? And then where our coaching programs really take over is that we help you with continual growth and support. So fundamentally what we do is that in the academy, we have like weekly master classes where we break down a specific mental topic and dig deep into it so you can keep upgrading your mental software. Then we have regular like updates in terms of hockey IQ and new tools, and then guidance to actually build that pro lifestyle so you can mirror the habits of the best players, right? Because you're always trying to upgrade and update so you can keep getting better, right? And so that's what this is all about, is that we have a specific group, an elite group of players, 100 members right now in the academy. There may be an additional like subset of elite players that we break off in the future, but really the point of this is it's 100 players, and they are like all driven players who all want to get better. And I'm not here to just keep like pitching you on this, but the point being is I fully believe in this stuff. And if you're listening to this, if you're a younger player, if you're playing minor hockey, junior, college, pro, like I want you to come join this thing and do the free training. And if that gives you what you need to really find that next level, awesome. And if you want to go deeper, that's what the academy's for. So you can go check it out. And again, link will be below, and just keep getting better. Because at the end of the day, we're all playing this game to try to find the best versions of ourselves. We're all living our life to, find the best version of ourselves in life. At least that's the way I look at it. And so if you agree with that philosophy, that's your goal, then you want to just continue to pursue this stuff. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast or the YouTube videos, or subscribe to the newsletter as well, whatever you can subscribe to. But just come join and come hang out with us and just keep getting better. So just take this systems approach. And if you don't want to, purchase anything, again, you don't have to. The whole point of this is you don't need to. And do the free training, and then make your own mastery system or identity mastery system, craft it out, and let me know if you have any questions. And I will talk to you very soon. Hope you have a great week. You continue to crush it, and I'll talk to you soon.